Stand up, John. Such a great lawyer. Incredible guy, incredible talent, but just a great lawyer, and we appreciate it. He gets on that screen, and everyone says, I agree. The other side folds up so fast. We'll probably be using a lot of you in the next year. But you have been fantastic, John. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. A man who's braver than me and braver than all of us in this room, he got whacked. He got whacked. My Steve, right? I went to the hospital with our great First Lady that night, right, honey? And we saw a man that was not going to make it. He was not going to make it. He was the doctor. And I told him, his wife, I said, she loves you. Why do you say that? Because she was devastated. A lot of wives wouldn't give a damn. A lot of wives would have said, hey, yeah. I said, how's he doing? Oh, she couldn't even talk. She was inconsolable. Most wives would say, not good. Listen, I'm going home now. But the doctor came in. The wife is like, she was a total mess. She was really devastated. And it really looked like he had a 25% chance. I think you set a record for blood loss. And Steve Scalise, honestly, I think you're better looking now. You're more handsome now. You weren't that good looking. You look good now. He looks better now. Can you believe it? I don't know what the hell that is. Sure. Better now. What a guy. And he was practicing. He was practicing for the baseball game against, I guess, the Democrats, right? And this whack job started shooting, hurt Rogers. I don't know if Rogers is here, but hurt a number of people, hit him, but really hit Steve. Steve was at second base. He was the second baseman. And he went down, and it was terrible. I mean, I saw the whole thing, and it was terrible. Unfortunately, you had two brave policemen with you because of your high position in Congress. You had two policemen, and they were amazing. The man and the woman. And they came, and they didn't have rifles. They were against supposedly a pretty good sharpshooter with rifles, good equipment, and all they had was a gun. And they started coming in from the outfield shooting. And they're so far away that a handgun is not preferred. And this guy has the rifle, and he's hitting people. And he was going to move up, and there was no out. I mean, if he would have been able to move up, there was no way to get out. The entrance was a single entrance way on the other side where he was. So everyone went into the dugout, ran into the dugout. But Steve was really hit badly in the stomach, and with a bullet that rips you apart. It was supposed to do that. It rips you apart. And these two people came charging forward, boom, boom, boom. And one of them, you know who? One of them, him, got the shooter, hit him, and then got him, killed him from long distance. It was amazing. If you didn't have those two people, you can imagine, right? You could imagine what would happen. So Melania and I went to the hospital that night, and he was in such bad shape, and he's been working ever since so hard. But 6 months ago, they had a baseball game at the Nationals Park, and I'm watching. And it's on television. And it's just, you know, game, people, you want to win it, right? And Steve's at second base. The poor guy can't even walk. Do you remember Bobby Richardson for the New York Yankees? He was known for range, Louis. Range. He had the greatest range. If a ball's hit the shortstop, Bobby Richardson's the second baseman. Bobby Richardson would field the ball. If it's hit the first base, he'll throw it to the first baseman. He had unbelievable range. This was not Steve Scalise. Steve had no range. 1 foot and he has to fall down, right? Because, you know, he was trying to get better. I don't know who the hell put you on the field. And this is a true story. So the game starts, and the first pitch, Steve's standing at second base, and the guy is really in bad shape. And I said, this is terrible. A shot, ground ball shot, is hit to second. And Steve, I say, I didn't have time to think too much, but I said, this is not good. That ball is going toward him. And this guy stopped that ball, caught the ball. He's now laying down. He throws the ball to first base. He gets him out. I said, it's the most incredible thing. I've never seen athletically. I've never seen anything like it. Right? And he gets him out, and they then took him out of the game, which was a very wise thing, because you could never do that again in a million years. But you weren't going to let that ball go through. I don't care if it was hit by the greatest of all time, right? That ball was not going through you, because you are a warrior. Steve, he is fantastic. You are fantastic. You and Liz and Kevin, what a group. I mean, what a group. I got lucky, because you need the right people. If I had the wrong people there, it'd be maybe a different story. Maybe we'd be celebrating something else. But I really want to thank you, Steve Scalise. And Elise, I just read the story. It's the most incredible what's going on with you, Elise. So I even said, I was up campaigning for her, helping her, but I thought, she looks good. She looks like good talent. But did I not realize when she opens that mouth, you were killing them, Elise. You were killing them. Elise, and there's a big story in the New York Post. I love the New York Post because they treat me well. There aren't too many of you that do, but today you're treating me well. I even had a great headline. New York Times, Washington Post. I had all these great headlines. Maybe we should just end it right there. But you had the greatest story yesterday in the Post, that people from all over the country are contributing to her campaign. They were so enthralled with the way you handled yourself, what you said, the way you said it. And I'll always be your friend. I think it's really an amazing story. What a great future you have. What a great future. Thank you. First Lady agrees, by the way. First Lady agrees. And Michael Turner, you can represent me anytime. Where's Michael? Where is he? Well, you can represent me. How good were you? There's another Perry Mason type, I think, right? What do you think, John? But Michael, you were fantastic, and we appreciate it. Brad Wenstrup. Where's Brad? Brad. Great. It's a big day for lawyers. You notice only the lawyers stayed. All the lawyers stayed behind. Lee Zeldin, how good are you? How good are you? Man. And Louis, your name's not down. They didn't give me your name. Do you know if I didn't announce Louis, whoever the hell made this list, I got to get rid of him, because if I wouldn't have announced Louis, it might have been the end of the presidency. Louis, you have been so great, so tough, and so smart. I got it. But Louis has been amazing. He's a tough guy. He's a smart guy. He's streetwise like crazy. We love Texas. And we're with you all the way, Louis. We're with you all the way. Thank you very much. So that's the story. We have a great group of warriors, and there are others left, and I guess probably, I'm sure I didn't mention a few, and I apologize if that's the case. How's CPAC doing? Good? My man, stand up, please, will you? He's the one, he said you should run. Right? Matt said, it's like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I made a speech, and then they do some kind of a straw poll. Who made the best speech? And he said, I made the best speech. Oh, with all these I hate to say this, with all these professional politicians, they voted by far the best speech was Trump. He calls me, he says, you should run for politics. I say, what do I know about politics? But you know what? We learned quickly, and our country has never done better than it's doing right now. So it's pretty good. But thank you, Matt. Great. Say hello. So that's the story. We've been treated very unfairly. Fortunately, we have great men and women that came to our defense. If we didn't, this would have been a horrific incident for our country. When you have Lisa and Peter, the lovers, the FBI lovers. I want to believe the path you threw out for Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. That's the office. There's no way he gets elected, meaning me. There's no way he gets elected. This is Peter to Lisa. He's probably trying to impress her for obvious reasons. There's no way he gets elected. But I'm afraid we can't take the risk. Now think of this. In other words, if I get elected, two lowlifes, they can't take the risk. They can't take the risk. Think of it. And that's where it came up, the greatest word of all, insurance policy. So he says, but I'm afraid we can't take the risk. She may lose. It's like an insurance policy. In the unlikely event you die before you're 40. In other words, if I won, they were going to do exactly what they did to us. They were going to try and overthrow the government of the United States, a duly elected president. And if I didn't fire James Comey, we would have never found this stuff. Because when I fired that sleazebag, all hell broke out. They were ratting on each other. They were running for the hills. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's in the hands of some very talented people. We're going to have to see what happens. But I can tell you, in my opinion, these are the crookedest, most dishonest, dirtiest people I've ever seen. They said, this is struck. God, Hillary should win 100 million to 1. This is about me. This is an agent from the FBI. Look how they let her off. 33,000 emails deleted. Nothing happens to her. Nothing happens. It's unbelievable. But think of that. God, Hillary should win. When these guys are investigating Hillary. Then they go to work for Mueller, the two of them. And when Mueller found out that everybody knew that they were 100% this way, he let them go. But they deleted all of their emails and text messages. So when we got the phone, they were all deleted. Could you imagine the treasure trove? They illegally deleted. So they left Bob Mueller. He had the look, but he didn't have a lot of other things. Always had the look, Mr. G-Man. And I love the FBI, and the FBI loves me, 99%. It was the top scum. And the FBI people don't like the top scum. So think of that, 100 million to 1, and he's investigating me. And then, God, Trump is a loathsome human being, isn't he? These are the people looking at me. I'm really not a bad person. And Page said, yes, he's awful. How would you like to have that? This is the good stuff. This stuff 100 times worse than that. These are all dirty people. And now, I just heard that they're suing the United States of America because they were interfered with. We're not going to let it happen. Just not going to let it happen. We cannot let this happen to our country. Can't. So, I'm going to leave now, and I don't know if any of you have anything to say. You could say it, but this is sort of a day of celebration because we went through hell. And I'm sure that Pelosi and Crying Chuck, I've known this guy all the time. The only time I ever saw him cry was when it was appropriate. Known him for a long time, Crying Chuck. But I'm sure they'll try and cook up other things. They'll go through the state of New York. They'll go through other places. They'll do whatever they can. Because instead of wanting to heal our country and fix our country, all they want to do, in my opinion, it's almost like they want to destroy our country. We can't let it happen. Jim Jordan, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Huh? Mark?
I want to just say that this reflection today is a small reflection of the kind of support you have all across the country. We've got your back.
Thank you. Thank you. This was a highly partisan situation. Pelosi said, I copied it down exactly. Before the impeachment, she wanted to impeach from day one, by the way. Don't let it fool you. You know, she said, no, the impeachment is a very serious thing. I said, she wants to impeach. Watch. Impeachment is so divisive to the country that unless there's something so compelling and so overwhelming and bipartisan, it was 197 to nothing. And other than one failed presidential candidate, and I call that half a vote because he actually voted for us on the other one. But we had one failed presidential candidate. That's the only half a vote we lost. So we had almost 53 to nothing. We had 197 to nothing. And the only one that voted against was a guy that can't stand the fact that he ran one of the worst campaigns in the history of the presidency. But she said, there's something so compelling, has to be so compelling and so overwhelming and bipartisan. I don't think we should go down that path because it divides the country. She was right about that. And it's just not worth it. That was Nancy Pelosi a year ago, right? And I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame. But as I said, if we can put this genius to work on roads and highways and bridges and all of the things we can do, prescription drugs. You know, we had, Secretary Azar is here, and I want to thank him for this, but we had, first time in 51 years where drug prices actually came down last year. First time in 51 years. But what we can do working with both parties in Congress would be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable, what we can do. And I know Chuck Grassley is working very hard on it, and Mitch is working very hard on it. But what we can do is incredible. What we can do just generally. We've done so much without it. We've rebuilt our military. We've cut regulations at a level that nobody thought possible. We'll always protect our Second Amendment. We all know that. But I just want to tell you that it's an honor to be with you all. I want to apologize to my family for having them have to go through a phony, rotten deal by some very evil and sick people. And Ivanka's here, and my sons, and my whole family. And that includes Barron. That includes Barron, who's up there as a young boy. Stand up, honey. Ivanka, thank you, honey. Come. So I just want to thank my family for sticking through it. This was not part of the deal. I was going to run for president, and if I won, I was going to do a great job. I didn't know that I was going to run, and then when I got in, I was going to have to run again and again and again. Every week I had to run again. That wasn't the deal, but they stuck with me. And I'm so glad I did it because we are making progress and doing things for our great people that everybody said couldn't be done. Our country is thriving. Our country is just respected again. And it's an honor to be with the people in this room. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we've been listening to President Trump speak for more than an hour now inside of the East Room after his acquittal in the Senate impeachment trial. The president calling that speech a celebration at one point early on in the speech, holding up newspapers.
Welcome back to KSAT 12. We're going to leave ABC News at this point. Devin Clark and I are going to take it over from here with the noon show. You've just been watching the president live. Not so much, he said, giving a speech, but rather celebrating.
Absolutely. Thanking everyone who showed him support throughout this whole process. He brought his family up after the speech. So definitely took about an hour or so for that whole speech
That's
to
right.
conclude.
He took a few shots at those who did not support him during the impeachment process, but also took time out to profusely thank those who did throughout in the House as well as in the Senate. A lot of storytelling involved in that 1 hour discussion.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure it will all be dissected and brought to you in detail later on today on World News Tonight. In the meantime, we're going to give you some local news here on the News at Noon. And we start with new information about those evacuees headed to quarantine areas around the country. As many as 250 evacuees. Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland, one of 4 quarantine areas for Americans and people with close ties.
Garrett Berger just heard from a CDC official about their plans for keeping the evacuees and the public safe. Garrett joins us live right now. Garrett.
The plane with the evacuees is expected to arrive tomorrow. As far as we've heard, it has not even left China yet, but once it goes wheels up, that 14-day quarantine period will begin. The CDC lead for JBSA Lackland's coronavirus response says the evacuees will be kept separate on base once they arrive in an area protected by federal marshals. If they show symptoms, they will be treated at local hospitals, though the officials are not saying which ones. The CDC said, which it calls the novel coronavirus, says that 24,000 cases have happened in China so far. Fortunately, there have only been 12 cases in the U.S., and those are from people who have been traveling or those who have had close contact with them. None of those cases, fortunately, have been fatal.
I do believe that the case fatality rate for this virus seems low, seems fairly reassuringly low, but it's not zero. There are people who do develop serious illness, and there have been, as you mentioned, over 400 deaths. So it's something very important to watch.
Once they're on base, the evacuees will have services provided for them by a company that the CDC official says has experience with emergency situations like this. And anybody who has contact with the evacuees will have to have protective gear on. And once they leave from the quarantine, the areas will be thoroughly cleaned. Now, not all of the people who could have been evacuated have been from China, but a CDC official says she's had no information on whether more evacuees could come to JBSA Lackland after this group. Live at Port San Antonio, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
We'll definitely keep a close eye on that, Garrett. Thank you. A teenager who was sleeping in his bed shot at several times through his bedroom window.
This happening at an apartment complex on the northeast side on Roselle Street near Wurzbach Parkway and Perrin Beidel.
Sarah Acosta takes us back to the scene where that victim was shot.
8 bullet holes through this window, one of those bullets hitting an 18-year-old asleep in his bed. Now that teenager is fighting for his life, left in critical condition, with police describing that gunshot wound as life-threatening. The person responsible for the shooting unknown, fleeing from the scene. The San Antonio Police Department says they were called out to the shooting just before 3 in the morning after someone fired a handgun 8 times through the victim's bedroom window and then took off. To give you a better idea of where the shooting took place, it happened at a San Antonio Housing Authority complex, LC Rutledge Apartments on the northeast side. Investigators spending 2 hours collecting evidence, anything to help them figure out who's responsible for shooting the 18-year-old male. The family asking for their privacy at this time. Police are checking neighbors' video surveillance cameras, searching for any clues for who the suspect may be. Sarah Acosta, KSAT 12 News.
A Bexar County Sheriff's deputy facing domestic assault charges after an incident while off duty. And we're getting a first look at him this noon. 30-year-old deputy John Paul Garza, charged with assault, bodily injury, married. According to BCSO, deputies responded to an assault call in North Bexar County just before 11 o'clock last night. When they arrived, the suspect had left the scene. Deputies were able to track down the deputy and arrest him, and that deputy placed on administrative leave. He has been with BCSO since 2012. In a statement, Sheriff Javier Salazar said, in part, quote, We have taken every measure to prevent this from happening. We will not hire anyone with a violent arrest history. We have implemented family violence prevention training and ethics training for every single deputy. And he goes on to say that while I am certainly not proud of this one deputy's actions, I am proud of the way this case was handled, end quote.
This noon, the search continues for the person who shot a 15-year-old on a Northeast Side street. Police say that boy was walking with another person in the 300 block of Burns Drive. This was around 10 last night near Van Diver Road and Rittiman Road. A police sergeant says that a car drove by and someone inside started shooting and hit the victim twice. A witness was not able to give police very much information. The victim was taken to the hospital.
Live look outside with live cam. It's not snowing. It's not sleeting. The sun is actually out and it's getting warm.
It's still chilly, though.
It is chilly. It's just 50 degrees. Justin Horn is going to be up next. He's going to fill us in on what happened overnight and what's going to happen next.
This KSAT Rodeo Remembers is powered by the all-new 2020 Chevy Silverado HD.
In San Antonio, when you think of the rodeo, you think of the Freeman Coliseum, and both would not exist without the vision and drive of Joe and Harold Freeman. The brothers grew up working the family general store, and they were hard workers. By the 1940s, they had grown their family business to include Chevy dealerships, cotton, real estate, and ranching. Around this time, the city and the Freemans realized San Antonio needed a new venue to host big events. They quickly became key players in its construction, and the Bexar County Coliseum opened to the public in 1949. One reason the brothers had taken such an interest was their own dream of creating a premier livestock expo for the youth of Texas, and that's exactly what they did. On February 17, 1950, San Antonio held its first annual stock show and rodeo. Through the years, the rodeo has raised over $200 million for Texas youth involved in agriculture. After Joe's death in 1971, the Bexar County Coliseum's name changed to the Joe Freeman Coliseum. Then in 1985, it changed again, and Harry's name was added. So when you're enjoying the rodeo this year, remember, thank the Freeman brothers.
Welcome back. It was a busy night last night. Of course, we had some sleet, a little bit of graupel around the area, basically like little snowballs that came down. This was a picture sent in by Dan out of San Antonio. Kind of cool to see last night, but that storm system has all moved out now. We're starting to clear out, sun is out, so no threat for wintry weather here going forward. But that storm system is creating some severe weather off to the east. In fact, some tornado watch boxes in place this afternoon. That includes places like Florida, Georgia, up towards the Carolinas. So it will be busy there as this storm system makes its way off to the east here in Texas. We're clear, and we're seeing great weather. Now, you will notice there's a little bit of white on the visible satellite picture here. That is actually snow that is still on the ground up there in North Texas. That's where they saw 68 inches. So still up there, still on the ground, but we're just not seeing that here around South Texas. Very nice. We got down to 31 this morning, but that was after that wintry weather had passed. So we did get a light freeze, but now temperatures have warmed up into the low 50s here in town. 49 degrees at Randolph, 45 Bernie Stage, 49 Comfort. We'll be in the mid-50s this afternoon, turning into a pretty nice day. Dew point is at 20. West-northwesterly winds at about 13 miles per hour. By the way, you can see some of the spots here on the live cam. Some of the dirt looks like came down with some of the precipitation last night, or at least whatever was in the atmosphere. So it made some of the cars dirty, too, if your car was parked outside. Meantime, 56 degrees, the high temperature today. Sunny skies, northwesterly winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. FUTURECAST shows that we'll see a couple nice days here. Friday looks good. Saturday, we'll get a little frontal boundary that gets close. We'll start to draw in some moisture, but I don't think we'll see any rain Saturday. It's Sunday. Now moisture really starts to pour in. We'll get some better chances of rain, and then we'll be watching what happens with this front here. It sinks south, and by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we'll have some better rain chances and some opportunities to add to our rain totals for the month. So for tomorrow, 70 degrees for a high, 71 on Saturday. Moisture starts to come back, and then a 30% chance of rain Sunday, 71. A little cooler Monday into Tuesday, and our rain chances improve, especially Tuesday into Wednesday, I think. 63 on Tuesday, 40% chance of rain, and then 70 on Wednesday with a 40% chance of rain. Overnight lows warm up as well. after what was a pretty cold stretch here yesterday into this morning, but improvements ahead.
Are you sure that wasn't styrofoam?
It looks like it, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
We'll be right back. A man is accused of accessing another man's checkbook and forging his name on multiple checks. Farron Jones is facing forgery charges. In October of last year, police were called to the scene of a restaurant when the owner and the staff noticed something suspicious. They saw proof of unauthorized forged checks made out to 3 different people, including Jones. The restaurant owner says that his name was on all of the checks, but without his permission. Police say Jones had access to blank checks that were kept at that business. Jones was arrested yesterday.
Police say a suspect is facing several charges after he was accused of stealing cars from at least 3 dealerships in our area. Darion Stokes charged with theft of a vehicle. Police say last month the suspect walked into a car dealership on the north side. He told workers that he was there to pick up his mother's car and handed them a key to an alleged loaner car. While employees tried to locate that alleged loaner car and the mother's car, officers say that the suspect is seen on surveillance video grabbing a key that was left on the counter, and then he jumps in an SUV and takes off. Police say he did this at 2 other dealerships, and he's facing charges for those incidents as well.
We'll be right back. It's in the air. It is rodeo season finally in the Alamo City, and things are ramping up.
Our David Sears has been out there all morning hee-hawing. David, how is it going out there?
Well, I can tell you, Devin and Ursula, I can't think of a better way to start off the 70th annual San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo than on the back of a longhorn. Are these not beautiful animals? And joining me on the back of these longhorns, Casino in Vegas, is Jordan Maldonado. She is Miss Rodeo Texas 2019. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
And second off, you might recognize this face, especially if you're from Bernie, because she's homegrown. She's from Bernie, so that makes it even that much more exciting this year at the rodeo, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, first off, just tell me what it's like to sit on the back of a longhorn.
Well, I've sat on a longhorn once before, but it's a lot different now. This one seems a lot bigger. It's definitely different than a horse. They have a mind of their own, and we have no way to control them.
What's it like being from Bernie and being Miss Rodeo Texas?
It's great. I grew up here showing livestock and rodeoing in the youth rodeo, so it's totally different to be here and be a celebrity and get to ride in the AT&T Center.
So we'll see you perform every night. You get to lead the victory lap for each individual that wins each event, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what do you think that's going to be like for you?
It's going to be so much fun. I get to help out with the mutton busting as well, which will be great. I love watching the mutton busting and getting to interact with all of the kids and all of the fans of rodeo.
This is, as you well know, animals have a mind of their own, so they decided they wanted to get close up to the camera. So, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you every night at the performances. And, of course, it would not be the start of the rodeo if we did not do some taste testing. We're doing some fried food. It's Fried Food Thursday today at the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. So Jordan's going to join us, and we're going to go out and see what they've got fried food by. So that'll be fun. So in the meantime, let's rodeo, San Antonio.
All right.
The fact that they can't control the animals worries me just a little bit.
Yeah, I would have my hands on the reins and the saddle horn at the same time. Thank you, guys. We are going to be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is your daily tech and business briefing from Cheddar. LinkedIn CEO Jeff Weiner has announced that he will be stepping down after 11 years in the role. Now, he's going to become the executive chairman of the company, and the senior vice president of product will take over the company as of June 2020. And Weiner said the timing felt right personally and professionally. LinkedIn now has 675 million members compared to the 33 million it had when Weiner joined the company as CEO back in 2008. Meanwhile, the autonomous vehicle industry is a $8 trillion market opportunity. This, according to General Motors' autonomous vehicle unit, Cruise. The company elaborates, saying that the valuation includes ride-hailing at $5 trillion, freight at $2 trillion, and the remaining $500 billion dedicated to data insights. The unit has yet to announce plans to unveil a commercial autonomous vehicle business. And a nationwide flavored e-cigarette ban will go into effect today after months of discussion and debate. The ban will affect kid-friendly flavors like mint and fruit, but will exempt menthol and tobacco flavors. The overarching goal of the ban is to reduce youth vaping, which has been flagged by many as an epidemic. And that's Cheddar Business to Tech Update. I'm Baker Machado from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
And Justin, you said something a few minutes ago that was so true. At my house, I got up, got in my car, and I thought, what's all that stuff on my car? Whatever fell left this like weird residue.
Film. It did. I was just having that discussion with my fellow meteorologist over there on text.
What was that?
We think some dirt got kicked up in the atmosphere, maybe out in West Texas, maybe out in the plains, gets up into the atmosphere, and then when we see some of this graupel, some of this snow or sleet, it gets pulled down, and then it gets kind of like, as Adam put it, it's snert. Like some snow dirt. So
my car definitely doesn't need any more of that.
I have a white car and it's covered in snert.
If your car was parked outside, it's not a pretty situation. Car washes will be busy next couple of days. Take a look at the time lapse, and you can actually see it on the live cam too. Look at the camera. You can see the spots there. Yeah, a little bit. 50 degrees right now at the airport. Dew point is at 20, so very low. West-northwesterly winds at about 13 miles per hour. And so winds are going to be a little bit gusty from time to time today. We're on the backside of this system. So what brought us the wintry weather last night has moved well to the east now. Still a lot of clouds, but the main area of showers and storms is out here across the southeast. So Atlanta down towards Pensacola, Florida, that's where a lot of the action is right now. There's a tornado watch box in place there. So there's going to be some pretty rough weather, I think, as we get into the afternoon. Some tornadoes possible as that line moves east. This was a dynamic system. Here in Texas, we've got clear skies, and it's really pretty nice. It was a little chilly this morning, but things are trying to warm up. And we're going to continue to see sunny skies going into tomorrow. Showed this a little bit earlier, but it's still interesting to see. On visible satellite pictures, so yes, all the clouds have cleared out of Texas, but from space you can actually look down and see where the snow is, where it's collected and where it accumulated there across North Texas. And you can actually see in the later frames some of it's starting to melt off a little bit, but they got 6 to 8 inches up there, so it's going to stick around for a little while. It's basically Midland, Odessa up towards the Wichita Falls area where they got some of the heavier snow. For us, just a couple clouds out there, a lot of sun though, and temperatures right now at 50 degrees. 45 Bernie Stage, 48 Helotes, 50 in Hondo, 52 right now in Tarpley. The forecast for today, we're going to be up around 56, sunny skies, northwesterly winds again a little gusty, 5 to 15 miles per hour. All in all, a pretty nice day. As we go forward in time here, more sun tomorrow. By Saturday, a little front tries to get close. I don't think this causes much of a problem, but we will see moisture starting to increase on Saturday, which means more clouds. And then by Sunday, we should start to see some showers kicking in, and we could even see a couple of thunderstorms before our next front gets a little bit closer. And this front may push through Sunday into Monday, which may cool us down a little bit, but it's also going to stick around and help us with rain chances Monday into Tuesday before we get another storm system moving through. So there's some pretty decent rain chances here going forward. So 56 again today, 35 tomorrow morning. Then we're up to 70 for a high, and then you see the overnight lows start to warm up a little bit. 71 on Saturday. Look for an increase in cloud cover late in the day. Sunday, a lot more clouds and that chance for rain. Right now we have it set at about 30%. 30% chance Monday, and have up the rain chances Tuesday into Wednesday. Potential there for some showers. There could even be some pockets of heavier rain. We'll have to wait and see how this storm system sort of sets up, but it looks like a good setup to me for some rain showers around South Texas. And so the start of next week looks gray and potentially wet.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, at least right now, though, over at the rodeo, Mike and Fiona are enjoying some good weather out there.
Yeah.
Check in with them.
Yeah, you guys look great.
And of what you're about to grow.
We got all gussied up for a reason. Oh yes, it is the first day of the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo, and we are here on the rodeo grounds at the food court, and you're going to want to come hungry. You're going to want to come thirsty because look at all the yum yum we already got. We're talking carbo loading. We're talking sugar. It's so awesome.
And it is so wonderful out here. Hey, you want to come see the rodeo? Today you have a chance to win a family 4-pack to the rodeo grounds and see Lauren Elena perform at the AT&T Center.
And we're going to tell you how you have a chance to win free gas for a year at Circle K.
All right, you've been coming here for years. They have changed a lot of different things. Things are in different places around here. We're going to go through all the changes. It is so much easier to get around.
And we are going to show you some very talented dogs showing off some new tricks. Wait till you meet these guys.
You know, one of the most popular events to watch is the mutton bustin', but it's always been kind of limited to a few. Guess what? It's open to about everybody. That's where Jen is.
And speaking of changes, we are going to meet the barrel man, Justin, who's helping out Leon Coffee this year at the rodeo. I have to say, he has one of the coolest jobs here at the rodeo. Right, Justin?
I believe so.
We're going to talk more with him, find out all about this thing. It's pretty soft. Plus, we're also going to meet one of the mutton bustin' participants. That and much more. SA Live is here at the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo Day 1. Stay with us.